First contact and final warning. The command deck of the HSS Intrepid hummed with the quiet efficiency of a well-trained crew. Captain Alina Reyes stood with her back straight, dark eyes fixed on the main view screen where countless stars sparkled against the void. What had begun as a routine survey mission to the Tav Ceti system had taken an unexpected turn 12 hours ago, when their long-range sensors detected unusual energy signatures beyond the system's heliopause. "Sensor suite complete, Captain," announced Lieutenant Sato, her voice cutting through the tension. "I'm counting over 300 vessels. Configuration unknown. They're maintaining formation and proceeding on a direct course toward human space." Reyes's pulse quickened, but her expression remained impassive. "Show me." The view screen shifted to display a massive collection of ships, sleek, angular vessels that resembled obsidian arrowheads. They moved with perfect synchronization, an ominous armada advancing inexorably toward the outer colonies. "No match in our databases," reported Commander Jackson, her first officer. The tall man frowned at his console. No response to standard greeting protocols either. "They're jamming all standard communication frequencies," added Communications Officer Nazari. "Deliberate interference patterns. They know we're here, Captain." Reyes tapped her fingers against the arm of her command chair. The Intrepid was an exploration vessel, not a warship. Its reinforced hull and defensive systems were designed to withstand cosmic phenomena, not military engagement. More concerning was their position. They were the only human vessel within 3 light-years. If those ships reached the outer colonies without warning, she began. "Total devastation," finished Jackson. "The colonies have minimal defenses. They wouldn't stand a chance." Reyes made her decision. "Nazari, prepare a Priority 1 alert packet with all sensor data. Lieutenant Sato, calculate a quantum jump trajectory to New Terra. We need tow." "Captain," Sato's voice rose an octave. "Multiple vessels breaking formation. They're accelerating toward our position." The view screen shifted again to show 5 of the obsidian ships separating from the main fleet, their course unmistakably set for the Intrepid. "Time to intercept," Reyes demanded. 8 minutes at current velocity," replied Sato. "They're fast, Captain." Reyes activated the ship-wide comm. "All stations, yellow alert. Prepare for possible emergency quantum jump." In the engine room, 3 decks below, Chief Engineer Maya Chen looked up from her diagnostic panel, her hands freezing over the controls. The yellow alert lights bathed the chamber in an amber glow. "What's happening?" asked Junior Engineer Patel, eyes wide. "Nothing good," Chen replied, already moving toward the quantum drive housing. "Run a level 3 diagnostic on the jump drive. I want it ready for emergency activation." The intercom crackled. "Engineering, this is the bridge." "Chen here, Captain." "Maya, I need options. We've encountered an unknown fleet, and they're not responding to hails. 5 vessels are on an intercept course." Chen's mind raced through possibilities. "The quantum drive needs 15 minutes to reach optimal capacity after our last jump. I can push it to emergency readiness in 10, but the spatial calculations will be rough." "We might not have 10 minutes. What about conventional engines?" "Full thrust would give us enough speed to outrun them temporarily, but we'd drain our reserves within 2 hours." There was a pause, then Reyes's voice returned. "What about that experimental deflector technology you've been working on?" Chen glanced at the sealed compartment on the far wall of engineering. Project Myror was her personal obsession, a theoretical defensive system that could redirect energy weapons back at their source. It had never been field-tested. "It's not ready, Captain. The power requirements alone won't. They're charging weapons." Sato's distant voice carried through the comm. "Get it ready, Maya," Reyes ordered. "It might be our only chance." On the bridge, Reyes watched as the approaching vessels accelerated. Defensive posture, Ensign Barrett. Evasive pattern Delta 6. The Intrepid banked sharply as the first energy pulse sliced through space where they had been moments before. The second blast grazed their port shields, sending tremors through the hull. "Shields at 87%, reported Barrett. "Return fire?" asked Jackson. Reyes shook her head. "We're outgunned and outnumbered. Our priority is to deliver warning to the colonies. Full thrust, random evasive patterns." The Intrepid surged forward. Its engines pushed beyond recommended parameters as it wove through space. Behind them, the alien vessels adjusted course with unnerving precision. "They're predicting our maneuvers," noted Sato. "It's like they're calculating our evasive patterns before we execute them." Another blast struck the Intrepid, more forceful than the last. The ship lurched violently, throwing crew members against their stations. Emergency klaxons wailed as red alert indicators flashed throughout the vessel. "Direct hit to our port nacelle," Chen reported over the comm. "Quantum drag alignment compromised. We need to stabilize before attempting a jump." Reyes's mind raced through their diminishing options. Status of the alien fleet. "Main armada continuing on course toward the outer colonies," replied Sato. "Intercept within 48 hours. Pursuing vessels have spread out, attempting to box us in." Reyes stood, moving to the tactical display. "Send the warning now. All frequencies, encrypted with our highest protocols." "The message won't reach New Terra from this distance," Nazari objected. "I know," Reyes replied grimly. "But if we don't make it out of here, at least there's a chance someone will pick up the signal." In engineering, Chen and her team worked frantically to stabilize the quantum drive while simultaneously preparing the experimental mirror system. Sweat beaded on Chen's forehead as she reconfigured power relays, redirecting energy from non-essential systems. "This isn't going to work," muttered Patel, hands trembling as he assisted. "It has to," Chen replied, her voice steady despite her own doubts. "But we need to amplify the reflective capacity beyond my original designs. If they hit us with enough energy." Her eyes widened as an idea formed. "Patel, help me access the quantum drive regulators. We're going to do something incredibly stupid." On the bridge, the situation deteriorated by the minute. 2 more hits had reduced shields to critical levels, and the pursuing vessels had successfully surrounded them, cutting off all conventional escape routes. "They're herding us toward that asteroid field," observed Jackson, pointing to the tactical display. Reyes nodded. "Nowhere to run, limited maneuverability. Classic Predator strategy." The comm system activated. "Bridge, this is Chen. I think I have something, but you're not going to like it." "I'm already not liking our current options," Reyes replied. "What's your plan?" "Mirror was designed to deflect energy weapons, but I've modified it to work with our quantum drive. In theory, we can create a quantum reflection bubble, basically turning their energy against them on a massive scale." "In theory?" "It's completely untested, and there's a significant catch. We can only generate the field once. The power requirements will fry our systems, possibly destabilize the quantum core." Jackson exchanged glances with Reyes. "That sounds like a self-destruct option." "Not necessarily," Chen replied. "But we'd be dead in space afterward, at least temporarily." Reyes considered this as another blast rocked the ship. "Can we still transmit a warning signal afterward? If the communication array survives, yes." Reyes made her decision. "Prepare your system, Chief. We'll deploy on my mark." She turned to her crew. "Barrett, set course for the center of the alien formation. Nazari, prepare a data probe with all our information about these ships and their capabilities. If we can't make it to New Terra, we'll make damn sure our warning does." The Intrepid changed course, accelerating directly toward the lead alien vessel. The unexpected maneuver seemed to confuse the pursuers momentarily. They had clearly anticipated continued evasion, not a frontal approach. "They're adjusting formation," reported Sato, "concentrating their firepower." "Perfect," said Reyes. "The closer, the better." In engineering, Chen's fingers flew over her console, making final adjustments to the mirror system. She had bypassed every safety protocol, linking the experimental deflector directly to the quantum drive's power matrix. If her calculations were off by even a fraction, the resulting energy cascade would tear the Intrepid apart from within. "System ready, Captain," she reported, her voice remarkably calm despite the stakes. "But we need them to hit us with everything they've got." "I think that can be arranged," Rise replied. "All hands, brace for impact. This is going to get rough." The Intrepid plunged toward the heart of the alien formation, its damaged engines screaming with the strain. The alien vessels, now recognizing the threat of a collision, unleashed a barrage of energy weapons. Multiple beams converged on the human ship simultaneously, enveloping it in blinding light. "Now," shouted Reyes. In engineering, Chen slammed her hand down on the activation switch. The last stand of the Intrepid. A deafening silence fell across the bridge as the mirror system engaged. For a terrifying moment, nothing happened. Then the Intrepid shuddered violently as energy coursed through its hull. The view screen displayed impossible readings as the quantum drive's power merged with Chen's experimental deflectors, creating a swirling vortex of light around the ship. "It's working," gasped Sato, staring at her sensors. "The energy weapons, they're being redirected back at the alien vessels." The effect was catastrophic. The pursuing ships, having concentrated their fire on the Intrepid, now found their own destructive energy reflected back at them, amplified by the quantum distortion field. Two vessels were torn apart immediately, their hulls rupturing as their own weapons turned against them. A third spun wildly out of control, its propulsion systems crippled. But the victory was short-lived. The Intrepid's systems began failing in cascading sequence as the strain of the mirror field overwhelmed its power grid. Emergency lighting flickered, and artificial gravity fluctuated erratically. "Status report," demanded Rise, hauling herself back into her command chair as the ship stabilized. "Engines offline. Weapons offline. Shields offline," listed Barrett, his voice remarkably steady. "Life support functioning at minimal capacity. Quantum drive completely fried," came Chen's voice over the damaged comm system. "We're not jumping anywhere, Captain." Rise turned to Nazari. "Communications. Short-range systems still operational, but our long-range array was damaged in the attack. We can broadcast, but not at quantum frequencies. The warning won't reach New Terra in time." Reyes's jaw tightened. They had survived the initial engagement, but their mission remained unfulfilled. Without warning, the outer colonies would be defenseless against the approaching armada. "The alien fleet?" she asked. "Main formation continuing on course," reported Sato. "We've destroyed or disabled 3 pursuers, but the remaining 2 have pulled back and appear to be regrouping." "They weren't expecting resistance," observed Jackson. "They're reassessing." In engineering, Chen worked feverishly to restore basic systems. The mirror technology had performed beyond her expectations, but the cost had been severe. Circuit boards had melted throughout the ship, power conduits were fused, and the quantum drive's delicate components were reduced to slag. "We need to get auxiliary power online," she told her team. "Focus on life support and communications. Propulsion is secondary." The intercom crackled. "Engineering, this is the bridge. We need sensor capability. The aliens are regrouping." "Working on it, Captain," Chen replied. "But I noticed something during the energy reflection. Their ships exhibited harmonic resonance at a specific frequency range. If we cooled." The ship lurched suddenly, throwing Chen against her console. "They're back." Reyes's voice was tight with tension. "And they've adapted their weapons." The 2 remaining alien vessels had adjusted their attack strategy. Instead of concentrated energy beams, they now fired in staggered pulses, probing the Intrepid's defenses. "They're testing for the reflection field," noted Jackson, "learning from their mistakes." Chen's voice broke through the static. "Captain, I think I've found a weakness. Their hull material resonated when exposed to our deflection field, specifically at 15.8 terahertz. If we could generate a focused pulse at that frequency." "Can we weaponize it?" asked Rice. "Not directly, but we still have the communication array. If I reconfigure it to emit a narrowband pulse." "Do it," ordered Rice. "How long?" 10 minutes, maybe less." Sato's voice cut through the conversation. "Captain, sensors detecting 12 more vessels breaking from the main fleet. They're heading our way." Rice exchanged a grim look with Jackson. Even with Chen's discovered weakness, they couldn't hope to defeat 12 more ships. And every minute the Intrepid remained stranded here was another minute lost for warning the colonies. "Status of the data probe?" she asked. "Ready for launch," replied Nazari. "But with our damaged systems, it won't have enough velocity to escape the alien sensor range before they detect and destroy it." Ray studied the tactical display, noting the position of the disabled alien vessel drifting nearby. A plan formed in her mind. Desperate, almost certainly fatal, but with a chance of success. "Chen, forget the communication pulse. Focus everything on getting us minimal propulsion and one last burst from the mirror system." "Captain, the quantum drive is completely destroyed." "I can't. We don't need a quantum jump. We just need enough momentum for one final maneuver." Understanding dawned in Chen's voice. "You're going to ram them." "Not exactly. Barrett, set course for that disabled alien vessel. We're going to use it as a shield to launch our probe." As the bridge crew worked to implement the captain's plan, Chen redirected all available power to the engines and what remained of the mirror system. The experimental technology had never been designed for what Ray's now intended, but theoretical models suggested it might work. Once. "All hands," Rise announced shipwide. "Prepare for emergency maneuvers. This is our final stand. The Intrepid may not survive, but her mission will." The damaged ship limped forward, its engines sputtering as it approached the crippled alien vessel. Behind them, the reinforcements from the main fleet accelerated, closing the distance rapidly. "Incoming fire," warned Sato. Energy beams lanced toward the Intrepid. But with its last reserves of power, the modified mirror system activated one final time. The beams deflected, striking the disabled alien ship instead. As predicted, the hull material resonated at the specific frequency Chen had identified, creating a cascade effect that tore the vessel apart in a spectacular explosion. "Now," ordered Reyes. Nazari launched the data probe through the debris field, its tiny propulsion system accelerating it away from the battle. The explosion and dispersing debris temporarily blinded the approaching alien vessel's sensors, just enough time for the probe to establish a significant head start. "Probe away," confirmed Nazari. "It's beyond their immediate detection range." A grim satisfaction settled over the bridge crew. They had accomplished their primary mission. The warning would reach New Terra, but the cost was about to come due. 12 alien vessels surrounding us," reported Sato quietly. "They're charging weapons." Ray stood tall on her bridge. "It's been an honor serving with all of you. History will remember the Intrepid and her crew." The alien vessels opened fire simultaneously, their combined energy overwhelming what remained of the Intrepid's defenses. The human ship shuddered under the assault, its hull buckling as compartments decompressed in explosive sequence. In her final moments, the Intrepid's remaining power surged into Chen's mirror system one last time, not by design, but by the unpredictable interaction of damaged systems. The effect was catastrophic. A quantum feedback loop formed, creating a localized distortion that engulfed both the Intrepid and the surrounding alien vessels. Space itself seemed to fold inward, compressing matter and energy into an impossible singularity before violently expanding outward. When the quantum distortion dissipated, nothing remained of the Intrepid or the alien strike force that had destroyed her. But the data probe continued its journey, carrying vital information about the alien armada and their vulnerabilities. 3 days later, it reached New Terra's automated defense network, its emergency protocols triggering immediate distribution to all human military installations. When the main alien fleet arrived at the outer colonies 1 week later, they found not the defenseless targets they had anticipated, but a prepared human defense force. Ships equipped with hastily developed resonance weapons based on Chen's discovery engaged the alien vessels, exploiting the vulnerability the Intrepid had identified. The invasion failed catastrophically, the alien armada retreating in disarray after losing over 60% of their fleet to weapons they had no defense against. In the aftermath, humanity named its new class of defensive vessels after the ship that had given everything to save them. The first and most powerful was christened the HSS Elena Reyes, its experimental quantum deflection system officially designated as Mirror, Maya's integrated reflection and resonance output relay. A small plaque in the vessel's command center bore a simple inscription: "One ship, one battle, one chance to save humanity." The Intrepid showed us the way. Retriclaude can make mistakes. Please double-check responses.